Good morning from Chicago traders. It's 8:03 a.m. Chicago time. Thanks for joining me here today on the 14th of April, 2021. It is Wednesday. This is episode number 1972. Derivatives trading is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's what we've got today in the convergent trading pre-market summary sheet. The overall posture is neutral. Of course, the long-term or swing posture is still quite bullish. Overall, the market is not, the indices especially are not giving up on those highs. So neutral versus yesterday, but we're holding the upper distribution across the board. The Nasdaq's finally caught up, has breached the 14,000 handle, and is holding steady above it currently. The leader today, crude oil. Crude oil gained another $1.22 from yesterday's settlement, up 2%. The Nasdaq is the strongest of the index products, up 23.5, trading at 13,999 and a quarter, up 0.17%. The euro is up today almost at $1.20. The Russell is up 3 points, just almost unchanged. 3 points is about a little over one rotation. Silver stuck at 25, 45, 55, 25, 45 and a half. And then the S&P is down 3 ticks, trading at 41.32. The DAX is off 34 points. It is the laggard today, down 0.22. Of course, coming into today, the big item is earnings season. We do have the key banks, Goldman Sachs, JPM, Wells Fargo, all reported, and then today we have the key event is Fed's Chair Powell speaking at 12 Eastern U.S., and then we have the Fed's Beige Book at 2 Eastern. These are key events, and of course, for those of you who trade energies, oil at 10:30, the oil inventories at 10:30 today. So that's what's key. You could see in front of you the metals, copper's relatively strong, crude is strong. Other than that, that's it's pretty. It's another run-of-the-mill day, really. Volume is at 137,000 currently. It was 125,000 15 minutes ago. It's 37,000. Inventory is 32% long. The range is 9.25 points, and it's completely balanced. We'll look at that in a minute. As far as what was expected yesterday, here's a look at yesterday. The primary scenario was a most likely responsive selling spree down into 41.14. Expected 41.14 area to be tested and held. Was looking for a rotation back up, looking for a breach of 127, 41.27. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. The market was very stubborn with that yesterday. A breach of 41.27. So the main trade idea for yesterday was to allow the pullback to happen, look for an indication of strength using order flow, whatever you're using, or maybe you're using a moving average and getting in a little bit later or whatever, and then look for the long into 41.27, breach 41.27 for the overnight stat, and then target 31, and that was the extent of what I could see in terms of what the market's likely to produce. So let's take a look at what actually happened. Here we are again. We're seeing almost 4 days of data on one screen on a 4-tick Renko at this bar pixel. width. This is the default width that I use. Amazing that we're seeing 4 days of action on one screen. If you recall, through large parts of last year, I would have to squish down or move to 6 tick Renkos to show 1 day. That's not an indication of anything other than the fact that the volatility and rotations have been sapped out of the market with this buy and hold roaring rally. Yesterday, we opened at 41.1975 right in here. This is yesterday. We put in an opening swing high of 41.2175, which was the high of 2 days ago. Pulled back to 41.1550. And remember, we were looking for 14 on that pullback. It went to 1550. Then we get this rotation up. There was a slight setup right here. It's so hard to see. Let me switch to 30 points of range, expand out, and right in here. So it puts in the opening swing high, puts in the opening swing low, and then right here. So it's already breached the mid of the RTH. It has tested and held VWAP for the full session here, and it's well above the mid of the full session. This sets us up for a long in the 4120 area and targeting that 27. The 27, remember, 27 is what? Does anybody remember what the 27 was? I wish I could interact with you, but there's a 15-second delay, so I can't. We're looking for the 27th. For the 27, that's the overnight high, because we're looking for that 98% stat. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. We're looking for the 27 from 20. It seems like it's a long ways away, but we're talking about 7 points on the setup, and it pushes to 2650, pulls back to RTH VWAP, holds the mid, above the mid, tests the 2650 again, pulls back to VWAP in the opening swing high again, still bullish, puts in a lower high, squeezes down to full session VWAP. At this point, I was in the Trade Talk session with Convergent members talking about markets. And then we finally get the test at 27. We breached the overnight high. Now we're in new all-time high territory. And we're looking for what? We're looking for 31 right in here. 31. So it gets to 31, chops around a little bit, sets up another breakout trade to push to 39.25, and then it comes back to 31, consolidates here and finishes at that former measured move target. Overall, the delta was positive yesterday, but barely positive, barely so, given the extent of the range that it covered. It covered 20 points from the open, and the delta finished up 5,000 contracts. So pretty good. We're getting a lot of these long swings, right? This essentially, this whole thing here is one rotation without a single 16-tick pullback, which I actually need to adjust here as the ranges have collapsed. I have to look at the rotations that I posted and adjust on this particular workstation, trade station. But this is what we've got. So we left behind some clear structures down here at the 26 for today's session. This is the bottom of the breakout area. You can see it a little bit better in the market profile right here. So that's the layout. That's the lay of the land. You can see this 27 is the beginning of the chain of single prints on the market profile before we pushed and tried to build a distribution higher. Okay, so that's yesterday's play. So scenario one was on the money, missed the low by 6 ticks or so at 1550 versus 14. We got the 27, we got the 31, but it took all day. Took all day to get that done. That carries us over into what we've done in the overnight session, let me turn off these levels. In the overnight session, we pulled back. We finished in that 41.31 area. If you recall, this is the former measured move area. We pull back just a bit to 30. We don't get to the 27. So that leaves an opportunity here to target something on the downside in the 27 area. And then we just grind and grind and grind and grind. There's more grinding here. I won't say it. um, the overnight point of control is at 41.36 currently. In what is a fugly profile, it is a multi-distribution balanced profile. Really, it's not a double distribution or anything. It's a balanced profile with a notch out in it, and it is the most important thing we take away from this chart is that the market keeps making these highs and not stepping away from these highs. It's not really rejecting. What we want to see is a rejection of the high, pullback, and then an impulse down. A very kind of fast and furious move down. That tells us that there's potentially an excess here, that the buyers are done, that sellers are stepping in, and the weak hands are being flushed out. We're not seeing that. We're seeing new highs. Like here, we're seeing a new high, new all-time high, push, new all-time high, then hold steady near that high into the open. Same thing, we see a new all-time high. It pulls back a little bit, but most of the overnight session is holding that new all-time high. And then again, new all-time high. Most of the overnight session is holding that new all-time high. So we expect more all-time we're seeing more all-time high. We're likely to see more all-time highs coming into today's session yet again. So with Powell, Fed's chair Powell, on deck to speak, who knows what the market will do, what direction it'll go. But we did make new all-time highs yesterday, and we're not moving away. So that's the recap of everything that's happened. That's the narrative. That's basically what we base our trades on. Yet again, we have a higher low. The one time framing on a daily is well and good and healthy. The one time framing up on the weekly, unbreached all the way down to 40, 37, 38. That's a key area down there. And it's just more of the same. This is a market regime that is supporting buy and hold. This is a long-term players market regime. There's money flow, and the market is continuing to absorb fresh new funds at higher and higher prices. This is not something you'd want to fade. So that's what we've got. You can see the delta is remaining near lows here. What is going on? The delta remaining near lows here, and not moving up. The delta is just holding steady at the low as the market pushes higher. So as the market pushes higher, the delta is remaining at lows, and it may do so for a long time, as we've seen. Let's take a look at what's expected for today. Let me set up those charts. Actually, while I'm doing that, I want to remind you that today I'm speaking at 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central. I'm doing a public webinar that here's the link for it in the chat. It's also on my Twitter. I'm doing a public webinar on the key components for setups in volume profiling. This is at 4:30 today, 4:30 Eastern today. The registration link is the number 2ct.pro/VP-webinar, all lowercase. Also in your YouTube chat. The reason I'm doing this webinar is because I keep getting the same questions, or for a lot of people who've joined in over the last year or so who don't understand volume profiling, and I want to go over the basics and looking at what the market is talking about when we organize it in the way of a market volume profile, and how we can establish some setups from that. Here's what we've got for today. The expectation for today, let me lock that in. The expectation for today is more of the same, more of the same. You notice like the live attendance for these trader bites moves with volatility. Today we are seeing there's a the inventory is not as strong as it was yesterday to the short side, and the overnight inventory is 32% long still, and we are below the point of control. I'm looking for a deeper push as a result, and we're pulling back. We're likely to pull back to this 41.27 area. I'm looking for it to base, potentially breach, hold sideways, and I'm looking for it to squeeze again up into the 41.36.37, potentially a slight new all-time high, just a slight new all-time high before it falls back into range. I'm expecting it to close back inside of the prior day's range today. So I would love to type that, but I can't. Close inside, which is a different theme than we've seen. Wow, look at that handwriting. A different theme that we've seen over the last few days. So, oh, okay. Thanks, guys. Hang on. Let me get you another link. 1 second. Here you go. Here's another link. Boop. So that's what I'm looking for. How far down? I'm looking for a test of the singles at 27. I'm looking for a potential tag of the 41.24 area here, the 24 as a potential extreme for balance. This brings us back to yesterday's point of control. But 27 is expected to hold, and I'm looking for it to turn back up and squeeze higher in a very slow motion way like we've seen over the last few days. Okay? So that's what I'm looking at. The secondary is an open auction that immediately pushes to the overnight point of control, squeezes into the overnight high of 41.39 and a quarter, lingers up here, and then I'm looking for it to come back in and consolidate inside of yesterday's range. In either case, I'm looking for a higher high, higher low today, but I'm looking for it to resume back into the range. I'm starting to see a rounded top potentially forming here, and a potential for it to start repairing all of this poor auction down below. Okay. So that's what we're looking for. Again, 27 on the downside. That is the breakout point of yesterday. 24 is yesterday's balance. Around 24 is yesterday's balance. Yesterday's point of control is 23.75. And if it digs deeper, then we're looking for an extension into that 14 area, the 14 area below, if it pushes lower, which I'd love to see. Love to see a two-way market instead of a market that's just chugging along directionally. Good luck today, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Be sure to register for that webinar. The link is in the YouTube chat. It'll be in my Twitter, twitter.com/futurestrader71. Good luck.